All right, everybody, welcome to Age of Radio. Mercury, you just heard the background sounds of Joey trying to find tape for Jinx, but I think that they found the tape, so that's good. We are back at another Age of Radio. Mercury, your home for podcasting and pop culture news, brought to you by Age of Radio, the podcast network for everyone. If you're interested in learning about all the podcasts that we have, you can check it out at YouTube at Age of Radioverse or at ageofradio.com. You can also see this live. Our main show goes live on Fridays at 6:30 p.m. Eastern with my co-host Trey, who's not here with us today, but I have our co-hosts from around Arizona, our events co-hosts. You saw them earlier today, Chuck, Jinx, and now I have Joey, but I'm going to be interviewing Joey Galvez as well, so get ready for that. But again, make sure that you like and subscribe to this wherever you're watching it at. Make sure you turn on the notifications because we have an amazing lineup. Later today at 5 p.m., we're going to be going live with Jinx Cosplay, a good friend of mine and a veteran in the cosplay space, especially in Arizona. We're going to be talking to her a little bit about what she has going on, along with her Cos Talk live show, which is also found on YouTube at Age of Radio or at Cos Talk Live on YouTube. And then at 6 p.m. today, we have Kyle from the Arizona cosplay group. He goes by Ravencraft Cosplay. He has an amazing costume today. We're going to talk to him a little bit about that and his new group, Arizona Cosplay. But more important right now, I guess, I'm with Joey from the Geek Collective. The Geek Collective, to kick it off, is an American-based, full-service comic book creative solutions agency offering services from concept to shelf. It functions as a marketing, PR, and podcast hosting agency, also handling advertising and, of course, public relations. They help with Kickstarter campaigns, have their own anthology archetypes, and are releasing their very first comic, I Need Your Skin. And we have ash cans available with us at Tucson Comic Con at the Age of Radio Geek Collective booth A03. Now, Joey Galvez, he is the founder and CEO of Geek Collective. He also has been doing this with me with Age of Radio for many, many years now, and he serves as the marketing and PR consultant for Geek Collective for various creative studios, plus social media roles, and is deeply embedded in podcasting and any indie comics communities. So I am going to see how Joey is doing today to start us off. So Joey, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. I just Jinx gave me a fan to cool down. I'm good, man.
I want to talk about the fan. So show me the fan.
This thing
here,
is cool, man. Because I need one of these for like my cons, like the cons. It gets hot when you're back here.
Yeah,
like
especially
loading and all
when you
that
look
stuff,
as
man.
amazing as we do. It makes everybody hot around us. No, let me see the fan though.
Yeah, there you
How
go,
does
man.
it? Is it just a? Is it?
It's a Bluetooth.
This is actually a pretty cool fan.
Not a Bluetooth. Yeah, it's awesome.
Let's see how is that.
Oh,
like,
that's
can
not
you hear
quite,
that?
dude. What are you doing? Come on, man. That is the one golden rule you don't do. Come on.
No, there's lots of golden rules that I don't. I guess that's one golden rule.
Podcast golden rule.
But I do a lot of golden rules. But Chuck said earlier that this was like us having being in a helicopter, so that kind of went along with it. It gave us helicopter sound.
There you go.
But anyways, hopefully that didn't hurt your guys' ears out there, because I want them to be available for this amazing interview that I have. So I'm going to kick it off.
Yeah.
So let's begin with the Geek Collective. How did the Geek Collective come to be, and what's behind the name Geek Collective, and why was that idea of the collective part of it so important to you?
So we started off as just a small podcast network. It was under a different name before. It was called the 143 Podcast Network, and it was owned by our friend Sparky, who was he was a podcaster. He does some really cool stuff, and then he ventured off and did his own thing, and because his podcast blew up. And so he transferred the ownership over to me, and I was the manager of his network. And since from that moment, I moved it over to my ownership, and we named it Geek Collective. And we brought monetization and brand new shows to the network. And then we got deeper into the comic book creative space, and we began branching out beyond just podcasts. And because we were already in the advertising space, advertising different comic books for other people's, we felt that it was a natural thing to kind of progress into the advertising space in the comic book world. And then we expanded even more into actual publishing comic books and helping people publish comic books through Kickstarter, crowdfunding, and self-publishing through those different revenues and avenues, and to generate revenue. Sorry, and then create some amazing stuff.
Yeah, and I'm going to say we because I have been a part of it this whole time, but you've created some amazing
Yep.
stuff. But let's talk about the collective part of it.
Yeah.
What does the collective part of the Geek Collective mean to you, and why is that piece of it so important with the name?
So when I was thinking about collective, I wanted to create this this space where people can come together and collect their creative minds together, come and bring their resources to one place where we can actually, help one another to branch out and to gain a footing in a place that is really hard for us to climb the ladder sometimes. Everybody's heard the whole phrase breaking into comics, and how do you break into comics? And people ask that because it is very difficult to break into comics sometimes. And now with crowdfunding and self-publishing and venturing off and doing different things like that has made self-publishing comic books a lot more accessible than it has in the past.
Yeah.
And it's changing the landscape. So we really wanted to kind of, play in that space and help people. And one of the things that was really difficult for me when I started looking into wanting to create a comic book was, where are the resources? What I need to pick somebody's brain. How do I? Because there's a lot to go into it. You can't just draw and then put it out there. You got to know how to format the comics. You got to talk to printers, publishers, artists. There's a lot of different things that go into it, and there was not a lot of resources out there for me when you're doing like a Google search, and when you do, there's a lot of things that are behind paywalls.
Yeah, a lot of stuff behind paywalls. I know all about that.
It's really, really difficult to kind of find some stuff like that. So we wanted to create a space where, number one, it's affordable to do the same things that these big, huge conglomerate businesses do, or these big, huge publishers do, on a smaller level, and we wanted it to be available and accessible to people like us. And because we have plenty of friends who do this, and plenty of resources, from advertising to writing, artists, lettering, design. We have people and connections and people that we contract to do those things to help people all under one place.
Yeah, so it all becomes almost like a collective being a part of it, and then also being able to, which has also helped with the whole concept of going from concept to shelf, because through the collective you can access the people that are part of it to help get those projects done. Now, you originally launched Geek Collective as a podcast network, and you originally did that under the Age of Radio umbrella, and it was kind of focusing on the concept of everybody's a geek, they're geek shows, but it just depends on what you're geek about, which doesn't necessarily need to be comics. It could be anything that you kind of geek out about that you're really into. But what made you pivot kind of from the podcasting into the marketing and PR? And what are, so let's start there. So what was the pivoting piece from the podcasting into the marketing? Was it because you were starting to find more people in the space? And
I feel like
it
was
help?
It was a natural progression, right? Like people started reaching out to us and said, hey, you got this reach. Can we come onto your shows? And then can you run some ads for us? Because we would have ad space, and because we would tell them, hey, we have these 3 sections in our shows where we do ads, and they're like, oh, could you run something for us? And we're like, okay, cool, we'll do that. We help people. We ran some stuff for free, and then we began to gain resources. Right, when you become successful at something, you want to create it to where you can build it, right, and build it better and do something better with it. So we started off with giving people free things, free ad space, and kind of dipping our toes into there. And as we kind of progressed, we brought on our friends like Benjamin W. Morris, who is a advertising freaking king. He works in advertising in his day job. He's also an illustrator. He's like my Swiss Army knife. Like he could do lettering, art, colors.
You can do graphic design. He's done ad images for me.
Video.
I mean, he's done all kinds of stuff.
He's an audio video engineer. Like he could do anything. So people like that. Those are the people you really want to kind of connect with and kind of bring into the fold and create this amazing stuff, because he is a plethora of knowledge and plethora of talent, and we can utilize that to help other people in the community, and that's kind of what we wanted to do with that.
Right, and to help them with the community as well, you started also helping put their Kickstarters out there and getting those indie comics out the door funded, so that we can get some of the amazing, the amazing stuff that comes from backing Kickstarters.
Yeah.
So what are some of the Kickstarter campaigns, besides your own from Geek Collective, that you have helped bring to life that you're proud of?
Well, we helped our friends who are part of the I Need Your Skin team.
Yep.
They have plenty of many different books. One of them is called Pocus Hocus, and there's another one called Grandma Chainsaw. We've helped them raise $10,000 plus on campaigns with some of those books. We also have a friend his name is C.J. Hudson. We have some of his books on our table now. There's a book called A Tiny Island, and it's got a longer title, but that's what we call it, A Tiny Island, and it's a really great NSFW romance kind of story.
Okay.
And we helped him successfully fund that. We've helped him do some of the things as well. And when I say we helped him successfully fund it, is we pushed it out there. We had him on the show. We helped him build his campaign page to look really nice and look really gorgeous with some really great graphic design assets and elements. With myself and Benjamin W. Morse on the team, we kind of really try to make people's pages shine and be as clear as possible, because when you go to a Kickstarter or something like that, you want to make sure that you are following also things where, like, you want people to stay on the page. Think basic things like websites, keep them on the page, keep them intrigued, and don't make it too difficult for them to make a purchase. And so that's one of those things that we kind of did with that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think one of the things that I've heard you talk a lot about in the past was when you're doing the Kickstarter, when you bring someone, when you have a client that comes to the table for the Kickstarter, I mean, you're trying to give them advice to guide them through that whole crowdfunding process, especially when it comes to the comic book space. There's a storytelling aspect of it. There's a community aspect of it that's so vital. So what are some of the things, like if I was to come to you right now as an indie comic book creator and say, hey, I want to do this Kickstarter, I need your help to do it, what are the types of things that you're going to kind of show me to help me be successful in the crowdfunding through the Kickstarter space?
Yeah, so first of all, one of the first things we ask is what you want to do. What do you expect out of this, right? Do you expect, to get famous? Do you expect this thing to kind of...
And real quick, do some people come out and say that they want it to be like a fame thing?
Yes, a lot of... And if that's the case, you kind of... I mean, we all want to be famous at the things we want to do, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
But, I mean, and I love that. But when I ask them that question, it gives me a sense of who they are, right? They are in it for a goal. They have a goal in mind. Right there, that already tells me that they are willing to work. They are willing to put things on the line to make sure that they are going to be successful at what they do, right? And I don't want to downgrade them or say, hey, drop a peg. You're not going to get famous off this stuff. It's comics, right?
Yeah.
But I want to understand where they're coming from and say, hey, I want to be good at this too. Let's do this. Let's see where we are and culminate this stuff together as a collective.
Yeah.
And create something amazing.
Something that's been I've been thinking a lot about over these last couple of weeks too, is like the fame as well. Because a lot of the times when we think about like fame, we think of it in the context of being like fame, like from a rock perspective,
right.
or from like this larger perspective, larger than life perspective. But to be honest, you can get like fame in like smaller little community, like, because I mean, in some extent, you're getting pretty famous in the indie comic book creator community from all of these. I mean, people know who you are, like in certain niches.
Yeah,
in certain niches, people know what you're doing,
who we are,
and who you are, and that just kind of grows. But it may not, some people may not get to the space where it's like, like one of the largest comic book creators, or where they create like, the Kevin Eastmans of the world or whatever. But or some of the other bigger names that are out there. But like, it could still be that you become like a large person in the space that you're in. Right,
but that's the thing you can mold, right? You can sit
100%,
there and be like, you could like take that passion that they have putting into something like that, and create something amazing out of a really cool campaign for them to kind of push this out there and get them into a space that they want to be in. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's totally cool.
Now you have an amazing voice when, in my opinion, for podcasting, and you've hosted a lot of podcasts
Yeah.
over the years. But now you co-host a live show with Benjamin W. Morse called "Explain Yourself,"
Yeah.
a crowdfunding roundtable. So talk to me a little bit about that collaboration. What are
Yeah.
the things that you talk about on that show, and where can people watch it?
So yeah, you guys can follow us on Age Radio. If you guys go to YouTube and type in Age Radio Network, we're going to be there at 10 p.m. EST every Sunday night. So come check us out. We talk about Kickstarters. We have some guests. We do a Kickstarter roundtable. Every once in a while, if we don't have a guest, we'll just talk about some of the things that we love, some of the comic books that we love, or the projects that we've seen and purchased ourselves. And we just kind of have a conversation about, the comic books and what the passion about it, the passion behind your creation, and then the second half of the show is about the marketing side of the campaign, the marketing side of the comic books, because and then the business side of it, because there's the creation side of the comic books and there's also the business side where a lot of people really don't want to deal with the business side of things. Because it's like, listen, business is scary, man. You know all that.
Yeah, I've been doing lots of business stuff a long time.
And it can get
It
daunting.
can be daunting, stressful, times where you're like, where am I going to get money to do anything?
Or how do I even do this?
How do I do? Or even like today. I mean, you've been a great help with this and very appreciative of you trying to help us get everything set up to do this. But even like this was just trial and error, getting this whole set up to kind of change the way in which we're doing the Mercury show and also having a larger space and a larger than life space at the Comic Cons with having the Geek Collective backdrop and the Age of Radio backdrop. And to that, I think that might be a good segment. Let's get Chuck up on the screen, and I want Chuck to go ahead and show the backdrop that we have for Geek Collective. So, Chuck, if you can show the backdrop for the Geek Collective up there. Dustin's head's in the way, so that's great. And so, we can see it right there. So we can see there.
Behind the scenes.
Geek Collective backdrop. So again, like I said, us doing this was all trial and error, which is part of being business, and business can be daunting, like you said. But you have a lot of stuff that's going on. So let's talk about the table, and then we're going to dive deeper into more of the stuff that you're creating.
So right now we have a Nintendo Switch 2 that we are giving away, or we're going to be. You guys can enter to win a Nintendo Switch 2, and you do that by buying a ticket. It's $3 per ticket, or 10 for $25, and we're going to be announcing that at the last day of the con. And
I think we had some technical difficulties with Chuck. Maybe Jessica can help Chuck figure out those technical difficulties, we'll get back on. But we got some more questions for Joey during this interview.
So we're going to be doing that round. We're going to have that giveaway. We also have a Bluetooth speaker, like not a cheap one, and then we also have a if you guys are Nintendo Switch owners, Nintendo 2 Switch owners. Nintendo Switch 2, sorry. We have
Nintendo Switch 2 owners.
Yeah, there we go.
The two's throwing it off because it all two makes it sound like also.
I know,
and they should have called it something else. But they just added a Nintendo Switch 2.
Anyway, we have a Mario Kart World for Nintendo Switch 2 owners, and we're going to be giving those away. So come on, check us out. $3 a ticket, 10 for $25. We have my ash can on the table of I Need Your Skin. This is the short version of our full-length story, which follows Nora Perkins, who has a fear of aging. She seeks a clairvoyant's help. She believes she can help her, but a deal will be made for a small piece of her flesh. This is a body horror story.
So I've heard you guys talk about body horror. Just for people that don't know what body horror means, what does that entail? What does that mean? Or what are some things that are commonplace that they can think of?
So if you guys have watched Substance or Smile, or like A24 style films, body horror is like like Saw. Saw was kind of like I don't know if it was like a body horror, but it's like, where they do weird
stuff to the body,
tension,
maybe like
body,
that centipede,
where like people's
bodies getting sewn together.
Yeah,
does that happen in I Need Your Skin?
No, we don't. That does not happen. But there is something that crawls out of somebody's skin, through their mouth, and it rips them in half. So yes, it's body horror that way.
Yeah.
So
All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about I Need Your Skin more in depth, but I want to show a little bit more on the table. Are we able to do that, Jinx? Dustin, are you able to throw Jinx up there? I want to show some more of the comic books, and if Jinx has to jump in front of the camera here, I'm okay with that. Just do a quick pose real quick. And Jinx pose. And she's going to go in front of the camera. Like I said, that's one of the things about business. I have
Right?
multiple
Yeah.
businesses, and all of them in some capacity did exactly what's happening right now. You have to do trial and error.
Yeah.
You get better
And then
as
you
you go
perfect it.
along, and then you perfect it. And that's what we're doing here at Tucson Comic Con. But, again, if we go over to the ash can, show me, so next to the ash can of I Need Your Skin,
Yeah.
we have a bunch of comic books on a rack. So,
Yes.
Jinx, if you're able to go show the ones that are on the rack there.
Yeah, so we have a couple of books from our friend Kevin Joseph, who was actually the original host of
Explain.
Explain Yourself.
Yep.
So we got his books up there. Tart, if you guys are fans of like this beautiful women doing really cool stuff.
Who's
and
not a fan of a
killing,
beautiful woman
killing demons?
killing demons?
You guys are definitely going to want
We
to
can
check
get
out Tart.
Jinx killing demons.
When then we have Tart, we have Hunters of the Outer Realm, which is a really cool space. I'm going to say it's a space opera, space.
Yeah,
odyssey.
I would say a
Like,
space opera, a space
it's
odyssey.
definitely a really cool
Absolutely.
story that follows a handful of people. It's like Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians of the
handful
Galaxy,
of
yeah.
people in space.
It's
you
kind
know.
it's like that kind of concept, but it's
But
really
it's
cool.
really gorgeous artwork. It's like 90s style artwork. That's from our friend C.J. Hudson.
What else has C.J. Hudson done?
We got another one of his books
Yeah.
over there. We got two. He's got Tiny Island. He's also did Lycan, which is from Band of Bards. We have Band of Bards. Lycan is a werewolf story where it follows a handful of female werewolves.
Yeah.
So very, very cool. Check that one out. We have Band of Bards stuff on our table. I am a co-op owner of Band of Bards, and we have tons of really cool stuff. We
So
have
how does the-
Ringo-nominated book on the table.
Okay, so what does that mean? What's for people that don't know what Ringo nominated is? What is Ringo nominated, and what's
Ringo Awards are a
how do you pronounce it?
Ringo.
Ringo? Okay, so I was saying
Like Ringo from
Ringo
Beatles.
right?
Beatles.
Like the Beatles, the one drummer.
It was started by Mark Ringo,
Okay.
who was a comic book creator and an amazing person that did a lot of really great stuff for comics, and they created this amazing award in his name, and the first half of it is fans. They get to talk about nominate their favorite comics, and then the second half is comic book pros. They then vote on who gets to win.
Nice.
And then they announce those winners at Baltimore Comic Con.
Cool.
And our friend Travis Gibb has a Ringo-nominated book out. It's best presentation in design underneath Orange Cone and Band of Bards.
That's awesome. Well, so if you're here at Tucson Comic Con or you're watching this and you don't have your ticket, come to Tucson Comic Con, check out that booth, see all the Geek Collective stuff. Now I'm going to dive in with Joey a little bit deeper into some of the projects that he has going on. So let's start with Archetypes. So
Yeah.
Archetypes is an anthology. It's an anthology that you launched. There was a Kickstarter for it.
Yeah.
It got out the door. It's made. What inspired that series? What can people find inside of Volume 1? And when will Volume 2 ship? And what
Yep.
can we expect for Volume 3?
So Archetypes is our anthology magazine. I say it that way because we wanted something a little bit different from an anthology, right? Because I wanted to also highlight comic books and geekdom in the article space, in the written format, right? In the journalistic, I don't know if you want to call it that, but
I would call it journalistic space.
Yeah,
I
so
think
we
it
wanted
does really
we
good
wanted
with
it to have this
journalism.
kind of like journalistic space with also a little bit of anthologies, and my thought was I have a bunch of friends who have like 5 to 8 page, 10-page books that like they maybe wrote and drew and paid for all the stuff to get out there, but they would submit them and they would never get picked. Some of them would get picked up. So what do you do with those?
Yeah.
Right. So what we did with those was we gave a space for those things to be in our Archetypes magazine.
Yeah.
And so that's what we did. We have articles inside the Archetypes issue 1. We have short comics in there as well. Issue 2 will be out very soon. We're going to actually go to print after this
Yes.
So as soon as we get home and we get settled and everything is all right back into place, we're going to start sending the second issue to print. But that one is over 100 pages. The first
I was just going to
issue-
say, the second one is much larger
Yeah.
than the first one.
First one was only
so
30
are you going to
pages.
do that big of a one for
Never
volume
again.
3? Okay, it was a lot.
Never
right?
again.
It
I'm going to
was
say this.
Crazy.
Listen, if you guys are out there and you guys purchased Archetypes issue 2, I'm talking to you directly. It was really hard to get over 40 creators to come together and get this thing done on a timeline that I would like. And I'm not blaming them. This was all my due. I will take the blame for the poor management on that. But we are going to get that out. We had some people doing some colors. We had some people doing some lettering. And then we had to reformat because we had to change our printers at the last minute.
And those things happen again. If, this isn't technically, I do a show called Age of Jeremy that talks a lot about the entrepreneurial stuff that I'm involved with. But again, entrepreneur stuff, that kind of stuff happens, especially when you're trying to build a really good product. Not only build a good product, but get it out in a fashion that meets what your fans desire.
So I will say this.
That stuff happens.
We were on track to get this thing out on time. And right when I was going to go send it to print, we had it at our printers, and I'm not going to name any names, but we sent it out. I had everything in the cart ready to go, and then I went back to go push the button to send in the cart, and the dollar amount jumped from under $1,000 to almost $2,000, and I said that is over our budget
going on?
because we did this on a budget, guys, and that was extremely over our budget. And I said, and I freaked out. I didn't know what the heck to do. I hit up our friends at Heroes and Villains, and they're gonna actually help us with the square bound, and we're gonna do a better job. We're reformatting it to his specs because one thing with square bound, you want to make sure you reach out to your printers to get their specs because every printer has different machines. Different machines need different specs when you put the format of the book together. So you're gonna always want to make sure you reach out to your printer before you format your book.
Yeah. So what's the plan for Volume 3? What can you tell people about
Volume 3? We have we're gonna push back our Volume 3 because we have some things in place that we're gonna be doing a little bit more. So we wanted to do one every year. We're probably not gonna do one for 2025 and maybe we're probably gonna bring it back in 2026.
That makes sense
because we have I Need Your Skin going in forward, and then we also have a Frankenstein story that we're going to be doing, and that's going to be moving forward into a space. So we're going to be doing kickstarting I Need Your Skin issue 2, and then we're going to do the Frankenstein story, and then we're going to take a break from I Need Your Skin, and then we're going to move another story that we're doing with CJ Hudson, our friend, into forward. And then we're going to come back with issue 3, and then anthology.
Nice. Yeah. So we do have plans for more of Archetypes. I think it's going to be a pretty big concept under.
So hopefully the way we're planning it, in the same year, you're going to get Archetypes issue 3. And I Need Your Skin issue 3.
Yeah, but no one knows what I Need Your Skin is yet. I mean, a little bit, since we told them a little bit when we were showing the ash can. But so let's dive into I Need Your Skin. So somewhere along the way, you came up with this bold concept for your own comic underneath the I Need Your Skin, which has, like you mentioned, the body horror that's a part of it, and a lot of other cool stuff I think that are a part of it as well. Let's dive into that universe.
The occult,
the occult, because I'm a big, as weird as this might sound, I'm a really big fan of the occult type stuff.
Me too.
And so I love that. And so that's why when he talked to me about I Need Your Skin, I was like, oh, this is amazing. Let's go deep into this. So can you dive into that universe, what it's about, and what readers can expect, and where the series is headed?
So I Need Your Skin, it kind of came from I was listen, I'm going to tell a story here. All right. I was sitting at my desk one night, and I was like, I know that I want to tell stories, and I know I want to write some books, right? But I have friends who are better at writing than I am, and they've been around the block, and they know how comic books work, right? So I'm still kind of learning how to do that side of things from them. And I have these ideas that I write down in my phone. I literally have a thing called comic ideas.
Yeah.
And I write it every single time. Like when I come up with something, I put it down in my notes in that comic ideas thing. And I always send those things to my friend Alan Dunford, who is the writer of I Need Your Skin and co-creator. And I always tell him, I'm like, here, how about this? What do you think about this? Can we talk and do this? Because I've always told him, I was like, dude, I want to write a book with you.
Yeah.
I want something. I want you to be the lead on this thing because he's such a great writer, and I admire his work and I admire his team. So I really wanted to do something with that. So I was listening to AFI, of all things.
Right. Okay.
The song Miss Murder.
Nice.
And there's a couple of lyrics. There's a part, the part where he kind of, the music changes and he goes into a little more raspier singing and screaming. And if you listen to those lyrics there's some lyrics there that talk a little bit about some stuff, right? And that sparked something in me, and I was like, well, I want to tell a story about vanity personified.
Right.
Like, what would that look like? And if somebody was, obsessed with vanity, or obsessed with what they looked like, could they conjure something evil because they are thinking about it so much?
Yeah.
Right? Could you
could that like sin or
that
emotion, that obsession become some type of entity or some type of demon or some type of monster or something along those lines?
Exactly. So I thought about that, and I really wanted to create something like that. So that's how I Need Your Skin came about, and I pitched it to my buddy Alan, and when I send him pitches, I send him like a long page of like a pitch, and it's usually like a treatment where I tell him like the beats of the whole story. This is what I wanted to do, and he's like, okay, cool, and then it doesn't go anywhere, right? The one time that I send him information about, the shortest one. It's literally
short couple sentences.
It was literally like just a couple of sentences, and I think I told him, think vanity personified, right? And then he didn't read it. He didn't look at me, but instead he calls me like 2 days later, and he's like, dude, I can't get that out of my head. I'm gonna write something. And then like later on that night, he comes back with 5 pages written.
Nice.
And I'm like, holy crap. So he wrote a 5-page workup for me, and I read it, and I said, dude, you were in my head. How did you do this? It was like perfect. It was like kismet.
But the thing is, this is a good thing about creativity, is like you kept going after these ideas. You kept bringing them to the person. You kept having up the ideas.
Yeah.
You didn't stop. You didn't stop your creative flow and offering it up to him.
Exactly,
right? And then finally, there was one that clicked.
Yeah.
This clicked, and you guys went out the door with bringing I Need Your Skin, to the marketplace.
Yeah, and what's funny is our pal Benjamin W. Morse, he's always he always kind of says, he's like, dude, you just came out of nowhere. And he's like, and it's freaking good.
Yeah.
and because what we're going to do is we're going to, turn this thing into a 3-issue miniseries.
Okay.
But I have a full world that I have an idea that I want to build, right?
Yeah.
And in my head, if this first 3-issue miniseries is going to be successful, which I hope it is, and we're not going to stop, we're going to make it successful.
Yeah.
But we want to create this big world where there's going to be 7 books involved. The next one is going to be a one-shot after the 3-issue miniseries, and it's going to be a one-shot that follows a Mexican aristocrat who solicits the help from three witch sisters.
Nice.
3 witchy sisters, and we're gonna be introduced to, in I Need Your Skin, we're introduced to a monster. We're gonna call them demons, and that's gonna be my vanity demon, and we're gonna be introduced to greed and envy in the one shot.
Yeah.
So, and then eventually, as we get towards the bigger event, which is going to be another 3-issue mini, and it's going to be the big, huge story, we're going to introduce all 7 deadly sins.
Nice.
And we're calling it the working title because my team, Alan mostly, hates the name.
Because Alan doesn't like that name, and he's doing the writing.
Alan hates 7 Deadly Verse.
Yeah.
I'm going to call it 7 Deadly Verse, but Alan hates the word, just letting you guys know.
Yeah, okay. So it's Alan. So whatever comes up, if you don't like it, you can blame Alan 100%.
And Alan will tell you that I hated the name I Need Your Skin first because I wanted to call it something different.
Yeah.
That is true.
But I Need Your Skin
it's a great title now.
Great title.
He convinced me.
Now, and that was Chuck. Chuck went behind to help because this
Yeah.
booth is getting a little bit crazy here.
We got
We got a crazy booth going on because we're giving away a Nintendo Switch 2. He's getting the spinning wheel back out
Yeah.
so we can do some spinning
Spin
wheel
the wheel.
stuff.
Yep.
But I got a couple more
Yeah.
questions for you, Joey.
Yeah.
So I Need Your Skin. It's going to get out the door. But you have this amazing image on your shirt.
Yeah.
So this was something that you have been thinking about. You kind of decided to go out the door with it. You had the logo prep. You made a release last week on the Geek Collective page or
Yep,
on your page?
on the Substack.
On
Yep.
the Substack, on the Geek Collective Substack.
Yep.
Where can people get the Geek Collective Substack? Just go to Geek Collective?
You could just type in, you go to Substack, type in Geek Collective. You can find it there, or you can go to our link tree, just Geek Collective.
So you released
Yep.
Divination Comics
Yep.
last week. So
Yes.
now, for this event
This week.
this week, actually it was this week because
This week.
it's
Yeah.
freaking
This week.
Friday.
Yeah.
So that was earlier this week.
Yes.
And so tell me about Divination Comics. What are these symbols on your chest? You don't have to take the shirt off.
Yeah.
Unless you want
These
to,
are
unless we want to
these
Joey
are
to take the shirt off.
these are occult symbols.
Okay.
And the reason why we call it Divination Comics is because Nora and our clairvoyant, which is Madame Louise. Madame Louise is a witch, right?
Mhm.
And she's part of the occult, right? And there's all kinds of. She has a shop of curiosities, right? And there's I wrote a short story, a 5-page story about some of the oddities that she has in her shop, and we also have plans to eventually tell some smaller stories, maybe it's an anthology
Right.
about that shop. I don't want to give away anything, but
And I don't want you to give everything
Madame
away too.
Louise may or may not be the sole person that's going to be head of the shop. Just letting
Yeah,
you know.
and so real quick, and that's one of the things too. Me personally, when Joey, I was at his house and he was talking to me a little bit about like the universe thing.
Yeah.
The universes are really important, in my opinion, to really creating a community around like a comic. If you can add an aspect of universe building where
Yeah.
you have different comic books that are all part of the
Yeah.
same thing, then I think that can really capture audiences into those comic books. Now, you plan on doing that with this piece. Do you plan on doing that with any other pieces in Divination Comics? One, and then two, do you plan on publishing other people's stuff through Divination Comics?
So yes, we have plans to continue to tell other stories. So what we're going to do with Divination Comics is, because we call it Divination Comics because we want occult stories.
Mm-hmm.
We want supernatural stories. We want magic stories, right? So we're going to be telling a lot of different stories that are within that world and that space, right? We want kind of like horror, tension, everything that stems from it. So there's magical things and different kind of supernatural elements to it. And that's more of what we're going to be doing. So every story that comes out underneath Divination Comics is going to have some kind of occult tie or magical tie or supernatural tie to the story. And I think it more comes from like, my fascination of like tarot reading and things of
like
that
occult
nature,
stuff.
and occult
yeah,
stuff.
you don't.
And witchy things.
You don't have to sell me on that. You
Right?
need to
So
sell all
it's
the
like-
people watching
like-
or the people that are here. But
So it's not necessarily that stuff's evil, but it's all about like learning about different things and so anyway, we created this something to do that with, and we do have plans to publish other people's works, like C.J. Hudson's story. He's calling it World of Aloria, which he tells a short story of that world in issue 2 of Archetypes, which is called
awesome?
A Serpent in Our Midst, and it follows a couple elves, and there's some supernatural things going on in there. So you're definitely going to want to check that out when we print that one. You're going to
Nice.
definitely have a chance to grab that, and we're going to tell a fuller story with this fantasy world, and that's going to be underneath Divination
Nice.
Comics.
So when can people? When is so you're redoing the Geek Collective website, I think.
Yes.
So right now people can go to Geek Collective on Linktree. Linktree.
They can go
Geek
to our
Collective.
website now. It's open. You guys can check it out, but we will be changing it.
Right. So we'll
very
be
soon.
changing. Okay. So you can go on the website. Is Divination Comics represented on the website yet? When is that going to
Not
come
yet.
out?
We
What's
will,
that going to look like?
It is not represented on the site yet because we just launched this
Like
week.
2 days ago.
And we were prepping for this con, so I did not have time to create a page
Yep.
yet.
We were doing a lot because there's a lot
So-
of stuff back here.
So, but yes, when we get back and when we get settled down, I'm gonna put a bunch of stuff on the website. We're gonna talk a little bit about Divination Comics and what's to come, and we're gonna make some really big announcements. We have a couple of friends that want that when I announced it, they reached out to me. They said, "Dude, I love this. I've been wanting to tell a story." I told one of my buddies, I was like, "Okay, cool, dude. I have this really cool idea that has to do with a band and horror supernatural elements." And he's like, "Dude, I've been wanting to tell a story about a band." And I
That's
said,
awesome.
"Perfect."
Yeah.
And then I had another guy who he reached out to us through him. And I was like, "Dude, cool. I got this really cool, creepy Western story to tell, right?" And he's like, "Dude, he's been wanting to tell a Western story." I said, "Cool." Like things like that. Like everything that we've done with Divination Comics and I Need Your Skin has been exactly like that. Like everything's just kind of clicked into place, and that's one of those things that I've talked to you met plenty of times.
Yeah.
Like when things click into place like that, you've
You've done something right, or you're in the right direction.
You're
Absolutely.
in the right direction.
So, well, thank you so much, Joey, for this. Any last thoughts? Last things that you want to say? Where can people find you? Where can people find Geek Collective?
No, yeah. So if you guys want to find us, go to geekcollective.net, which will soon be geekcollective.com. Go find us at geekcollective.net. Find out all that stuff there. If you guys are on Kickstarter, follow us on Kickstarter. We are a super backer. If you got a comic book that you are kickstarting, let us know, and we'll probably have you on our show. Explain yourself, and we'll help you fund that thing. We'll throw some money at you.
Yeah.
And then find me at Joey Galvin 1984, Geek Collective, all kinds of really cool, fun stuff coming from us.
Perfect. All right. And again, my name's Jeremy. You're watching Mercury, your home for podcasting and pop culture news. Our main show comes live to you most Fridays at 6:30 p.m. Eastern with myself and our other host, Trey. But when we do live events, we have Joey with us, we have Chuck with us, we have Jinx with us, and we have Dustin helping us in the background. And again, Mercury is brought to you by Age of Radio, the podcast network for everyone. We are streaming live from Tucson Comic Con throughout the 29th, 30th, and 31st. In about 20 or 30 minutes, depending on you're watching this or if you're watching this later, the next show is going to be me interviewing the amazing Jinx at the Jinx cosplay. And we didn't get to talk about AI, so we'll have to talk about AI later.
Let's not talk about
We're going to talk about AI with Jinx, though, here in a little bit as well. But we'll be back shortly. And again, this is Mercury. My name's Jeremy. I am the co-founder of Age of Radio and the host of Mercury. And as I always like to say, be thankful, grateful, and kind. And we will talk with you guys soon. Bye.